Welcome back to Calgary, Alberta, the 2025 Western Canada Showdown on hnlive.ca, continuing here on a Friday afternoon. We've just finished one game. We're getting ready for another one. The score is still up on the board here. There's so much little time. They're trying to get things back on schedule here. We were a little bit behind. You see that it says 4-4 up there. That was for the previous game between the Winnipeg Thrashers and one of the host teams, the Calgary Royals Gold. But we're getting locked in here for a game between the Calgary North Stars Black and the CAC Canadians, two longtime teams. It's the Battle of Alberta coming up next here on HN Live. Of course, this North Stars program is basically housed out of this facility, the AAA dressing room on the other side. And if you don't know the Canadians program, you haven't been covering minor hockey in Edmonton. They've been around for a very long time. My grandparents were actually from the Meadowlark area, and I know that corner of the city so well. And I am excited, Mark Payne, to be on this call here this evening. I guess we can call it this evening, as we're kind of going to get to that point. We see close-ups of both teams, the CAC Canadians in their white uniforms with red and navy blue trim. And of course, back in black, the North Stars with their green helmets, green gloves. I just love their uniforms. They're absolutely awesome. So we're excited for this one as we get ready for more live broadcasts here on HN Live. This is the 2025 Western Canada Showdown, these U18s. And look at that 6 setup on the goaltender down there. The old school brown pads. It's like back in the past there. That's the starting goaltender. That's Ty Young. As we get ready to go, and we'll drop the puck here at center ice. Here we go. Here in Calgary. Chipped off the wall. North Stars come down the left-hand side. Calgary on net. That one just goes wide, high into the corner, off the boards, comes all the way back out to the point. It's controlled there by a North Stars player, and they just scoop it back inside the zone. That's Spencer Seedon. He throws it back in. And now here come the CAC Canadians back the other way. Back up the middle of the ice. That one on net, controlled there by Young for our first face-off here. 19:31 remaining in the first period. And a great close-up shot there of Young. Not only a great pad setup, but look at that sick mask as well. Great paint job. Now we'll get ready for the face-off. Inside North Stars territory, comes out in front of the net there briefly and then pushed back the other way. Comes all the way back onto the stick of a Canadians player. That rifled just past the net on the backhand effort there. Goes off the right pad. They kick it up the right-hand side. North Stars now try to get control. That would be offside. You can hear the linesman yelling that right now as the player came in skating backwards into the zone before the puck had entered. Now it's pushed back the other way. North Stars come up the wall. Good body check there along the wall. Retrieved there by Nicholas Tremblay behind the net. He wears the number 7 for these North Stars in these 6 back unis. Up the wall, now shoveled down the left-hand side. All the way inside the zone. That goes all the way down the length of the ice for an icing call here with 18:40 remaining in the first period. Face off now to the left of Young's net. Now pushed out the other side. Controlled now by the North Stars back in their own end. They try to do a stretch pass there. That misses everybody, and it's going to go down for an icing call as we're a minute and a half into this one. Aiden Puchlowski was trying to get a stick on that one. More and more scouts filtering in there. One from the Fort McMurray Oil Barons right behind me. Just waving hello. Down the left-hand side. Saw one from the KIJHL as well, the Grand Forks Border Bruins. They were last year's champion in the KIJHL. Pass Roberts back out into the neutral zone. Goes back up the left-hand side. Push there. Good control there with the puck as the North Stars shovel it back inside the zone. Jack Rossler into the zone. Back to the right point. Canadians now with control. Good quick up. Good quick chance down the left-hand side. Here comes Edmonton back inside. That one just goes wide off the pads, back out into the neutral zone. Good chance there for the CAC Canadiens. That was Logan Green. Is now back the other way. Here come the CAC Canadiens. Down the right-hand side, they shovel it back. Wraparound attempt, shoots, scores! What a wraparound that was! The ref knew it. He pointed at the goal immediately. It's 1-0 Canadiens. Goaltender hit the net so hard, it actually jumped up and moved about 6 inches there, but not before it was wrapped home there by the Canadiens. A quick start here for CAC. They'll drop the puck. We're back to the action here on hnlive.ca. Now another opportunity. Here comes the Canadiens again, looking for more. That one's shoveled just wide up and over top of the glass, stopping the clock at 17:19. Push down, now to the left of the North Stars net. Face off one cleanly there by the Canadiens. As now they shovel it up the right-hand side, kept in at the line. That goes just past Young, back into the corner. Shoveled off the wall there by the captain. Shoveled back on net. That one will be covered up for another face-off here. For the third time in a row, we'll have another face-off to the left of the North Stars goal. Shoveled back out into the neutral zone. 1-0 CAC Canadiens here, early stages of this one. Shoveled back the other way, goes off a stick. Fabry has that go back behind the net. Picked up there by the North Stars. They work it up the left-hand boards. Back out front, that one chipped away. I covered one of the other U18 AA teams as well for this North Stars program a few weeks ago at a U18 event in Olds. They did quite well. That was the North Stars gold team. They were the most entertaining group of the weekend. Plenty to say. Love the media attention. Love the coverage. Some real characters. Really enjoyed getting to know a lot of those players. So good to be with another one of these U18 groups this weekend. Chip back behind the net. As that one's thrown back up the middle of the ice. That would have been a great opportunity there for the North Stars to tie this one up. Goes down for an icing call, however, and it will tie things up here, and then we'll have a 1-0 lead here back in North Stars territory after that icing call. This is the 2025 edition of the Western Canada Showdown, hosted by the Calgary Royals. Face off inside the zone, picked up there by the North Stars this time. They'll work it up the right-hand side. On the sidewall, chipped out back into the neutral zone. Man loose. Here come the North Stars. Inside out. Shoots, scores. An easy one. The North Stars tie it up. You got a feel for the goaltender there. As that inside out move, he slid out of the way, and it was a wide open, yawning cage there for the North Stars to tie this thing up at 1 here in the first period. Another face-off at center ice. Scrambled face-off. One now cleanly by the North Stars, who have just tied this hockey game up at a score of 1-1. Roberts has that go off the stick. Now back the other way, down the left-hand boards, into the zone. Canadians retrieve it back behind their goal. We're only 5 minutes in here, and we've already had 2 goals. Will this be a high-scoring affair? Up the left-hand side, here come the North Stars looking for more. Try to work it inside out there. Shoveled on net. That one held on to by the goaltender with 14:47 remaining here in the first period. This time, faceoff will be down in the Canadian zone. West back at the right point there for the North Stars. He wears the number 18. He's the last man back right now. North Stars try to keep the line. They don't do so. Comes out, and that one's called offside. Stops the clock with 14:34 remaining. Face off outside the zone. Back to the action here at the Western Showdown. Chip back the other way. Madigan at the left point there. Comes out into the slot area. That jumps over 2 sticks. Now the North Stars with control. They'll come down the right-hand wing. Back inside the zone. Trying to get their first lead of the hockey game here. They trailed early by 1, but have tied it up. Chip back out into the neutral zone, past the defenseman. He'll work it cross ice over there to West. Up the other way. Now coming up the ice, North Stars black. That's Malcolm Callan. Callan inside the zone. Chases after it. He's got to get back defensively now. It'll be his defense partner, West, that gets there first. They wave icing off, and play will continue. Pushed up down the far wall. 13:42 remaining here in the first. Back down the right-hand side, chip back into the corner. Canadians now quick up there. Cut off there, good active stick defensively there for the North Stars. Canadians loop back into their own zone. Up the right-hand boards, comes out to the center ice area. That one batted down there. Here come the Canadians with speed down the left-hand wing, shoveled in front. Another dangerous chance here. As now it's picked up inside the zone, comes back out into the stick of a defenseman here for the Canadians, who works it cross ice. Picked up there by Kalen Burke. Now up the middle of the ice. Worth has that go off his stick, shoveled back onto a Canadian stick. They come back up, play it through their legs into the zone. That was Logan Green. Good skating and great hands there. Shoveled back the other way. Now up the right-hand side as it skips off the stick. That's Cooper Boylan chasing after it. He wears the number 19 for these Canadians. Here come the North Stars down the left-hand side. Shot scores! And even knocked the water bottle off the net. It's 2-1 North Stars black. Flyby there in front of the black bench. They've got their first lead of the hockey game. I was telling a fan the other day, one of the most popular things now is a lot of these sports stores, including Adrenaline Source for Sports, they actually carry all the apparel, and in particular the North Stars and Royals apparel down there at the south location at 9309 McLeod Trail South. And you can buy all this gear, and I like these North Stars so much that I would buy North Stars gear. That's how good they are. Reminiscent of the old Minnesota North Stars jerseys. Adrenaline Source for Sports. We fit your game. Back out front. That chip just wide. Kicked into the corner now as it goes back the other way. And they have several other minor hockey teams. And the reason I bring that up is you see more and more fans and parents wearing their team apparel. You used to always see a lot of Flames and Oilers stuff around the rinks, but now it's everyone's geared up for their minor hockey team, which I think is fantastic. Chip back out into the neutral zone. Up the left-hand boards. That goes off the stick of Campbell. Shoveled back the other way. Back into the zone. Pushed down deep inside North Stars territory. A quick up. That one broken up there by the Canadians. They'll come back in on a quick chance there. That one shoveled in onto that North Star's crest and held on to for another face-off. This black team has the black uniforms. The gold team has a very gold jersey as well, so they're really playing it up here. Great branding. Back up the other way. And now a chance. Just goes off the stick back to Callan now. He'll throw it off the wall, goes off the stick of his defense partner West. He'll retrieve it back behind the net, shovels it up the right-hand boards. It's controlled there by Horvath. Now down the right-hand wing. Here come the North Stars. What a nice move that was. Oh, baby. Great delay move there by Jack Halchuk. West now from the point. That one just goes wide. Back into the corner. They chase after it now. Goes back out the other way. Back to the right point. West back there. Canadians now down the right-hand wing. Across the line with numbers. Back in front. A player going to the front of the net there. That's the way you like to see it if you're the coach. Nothing doing there as Ethan Stainthorpe was going to the net there. He wears the number 5. Already almost at the midway point of this first period. Time flying back by here at the Western Showdown. U18 double A's here. This tournament running from November 20th to the 23rd. Back inside the zone. North Stars will chase after that. Puck always faster than the players. Proven there on that icing call. Player's lost his neck guard there. Cruz will come on for the draw. That's Logan Cruz, number 21. Here come the North Stars out on a 2-on-2. They'll shovel it into the far corner. Back behind the cage. Chase after it there. That's right at the Zamboni gate there, so sometimes the puck can get caught up there. They'll shovel up behind the net. That quick play comes all the way back to the right point, controlled there by Tremblay. Tremblay hammers it back in behind the net. And it comes back into the corner. Controlled there by the Canadians. With possession off the wall, that's Kalen Burke up the right-hand side. Tremblay's out there. And now a quick break here for the North Stars. Back inside the zone. They'll work it back and forth. That one hits the pipe. Could hear it all the way up here as that quick passing play almost resulted in the first 2-goal lead of this hockey game. They stop the clock at 9:40 after an icing call. After that quick play, Cruz can't believe it. You see the expression right on his face. Smiling now. Talking to Galt. Not a bad way to spend a Friday afternoon, eh, boys? Back into the corner. Roberts back at the right point. He'll control it now. Roberts cross-ice pass. Back off the skate there of a Canadiens player. They'll get it out and now shovel it up the right-hand side. They'll come out with speed and numbers. Back down the middle of the ice. They'll drive the lane in front. That tipped on net. But controlled there by the goaltender, Ty Young, for another face-off here with 9:19 remaining here in the first period. Great close-up shot there of Imperato. Had a chance to cover him now for 3 seasons in a row. Starting to get more and more familiar with a lot of these players. That one shoveled just wide. Back out front, you sometimes know the player's tendencies a little bit better than as well. Was kind of playing it blind last weekend at the U15 AAA event as I hadn't seen a lot of those players. That one heavily scouted. With the Bantam draft in the Western Hockey League, you'll see a lot more scouts around the rink for that level of hockey. Halchuk out there for the draw. He's right outside in front of the slot area right now. Face-off won there by the North Stars. Back to the action we go. Here at the Western Canada Showdown. Inside the zone, they shovel that on net. Young's got it. And the player ridden out into the boards there. 8:51 remaining here in a first period. That sees the North Stars black team with a lead, 2-1. Back to the action we go. That other game on the other side has gone final. 4-3, the Bow Valley Timberwolves will take down the Trackers. And we've got a tripping penalty coming up here at Perry Cavanaugh. With 8:43 remaining in the first period, North Stars Black is going to go to the power play. As the tricking infraction goes to Anders Marin, who heads off for 2 or less. Face-off one there by the Canadians. They'll shovel it back out, try to kill some time on this penalty. As it comes out across there to Roberts. Roberts works it D to D. Now picked up down the left-hand wing, thrown back into the corner. Continuing action here at the Western Showdown. Shoveled across ice there. Now picked up inside the line. Chasing after it now. Gavin Rollison out there for the North Stars. He's kind of right at the top of the slot right now as they work it back to the point to Galt. He's got control. He'll turn around, tries to work it back the other way. The other number 4, however, picks it up. That's Cooper Beeler. Beeler gets it back out, and it's corralled now by the assistant captain for North Stars Black. Up the left-hand side. They'll shovel it back down inside the zone. Puck down, resting right in front behind the goal line there. And it comes all the way back down to Ty Young. Young, quick up. He gets the man. And they'll try to shovel it off there. They'll work off the PP1 players. PP2 back out there now. West out there on the back end. He scoops down behind the net, slams on the break behind the North Stars net, and tries to set up the breakout. They'll try to get an entry here on the power play and try to set things up. But the Canadians with other ideas as they break that play up. All the way back down into North Stars territory. Time ticking down here on the penalty. 35 seconds remaining on the call. Back outside, up the wing now. Here comes West. West inside the line. He gets the line. They're in there now. Back out front. It's loose in front. Goaltender had to be careful there as it comes back out. Banks Vag between the pipes here for the CAC Canadians. He's had to be sharp here so far. This North Stars Black team came to play here on a Friday afternoon. Up the left-hand side, they're out of the box. Now we're back to 5-on-5 hockey here on hnlive.ca. Back into the corner, behind the net. Controlled there, comes back off a stick. They fight for it down there deep inside the zone. Canadians shovel it off the wall. They do eventually get it out here, and they work it cross ice up the left-hand wing to Campbell. Picked up now on the back end. That's Dane Pastychuk. Comes back out to the right point. That just out of the outstretched reach of a North Stars player. Tremblay as it comes back inside the zone. Corralled there by Zachary Palankas. Palankas wears 17 for these North Stars. That'll stop the clock here. 6:02 remains here in a first period that see the North Stars up on top of the Canadians by 1 goal. So if you're just joining us here today, this all started at about 8 a.m. this morning, this Western Showdown. And still more games coming up this evening as well on both sheets here at the Max Bell Center. We're at Perry Cavanaugh. We've got games going on at the Max Bell side as well. That's known as Ken Bracco Arena. 2-on-1 developing here for the North Stars back inside the zone. They shovel it on net. Shot on net. What a stop. And covered up nicely as well. Stops the clock with 5:44 remaining. See some of the parents here as well. They've got the iPad set up as they'll stream the game as well. Not exactly the same camera work that we have. The zoom in, zoom out, on-screen graphics. We've got it all here at HN Live. Back inside, chipped off the wall. Back into the corner. Chip back the other way as that one comes back to the point under the outstretched reach there of a Canadians player. And they'll work across ice now. Roberts. Galt to Roberts. Roberts up the left-hand wing. Oh, keep your head up. Almost a big collision there. Back into the corner. Two North Stars fight for it. Back out front. That shot on net. Quick chance came out front. That was Owen Brosut with the opportunity there. But again, Bag has had to be sharp. I find these Canadiens jerseys to be classics as well. A great logo. Great history. Back down the right-hand side. Shovel back out front. As that one goes off the side wall. They try to get it out there. Got to use two hands on your stick there, as that one-handed effort almost resulted in the puck coming back the other way. Here come the Canadiens down the right-hand side. Back into the corner. They'll fight for it now. Comes all the way back to the point. It's held in there by the defenseman. And chipped back down into the corner. Kalen Burke will chase after it now. He's helped out there from the back end as Logan Green pinches up. Replaced there by Madigan on the back end. He'll chase after it now. The lanky forward gets to it first. Tries to cut it off. Comes up the left-hand wall. We're down to 4:10 remaining in this first period. Cross ice now goes back the other way. Goes back behind the cage. North Stars chase after it there, trying to add on to a one-goal lead. Under 4 minutes to play here in the first. They shovel it back on the left-hand side. Goaltender moves from right to left. And then back out to the point. Controlled now by the North Stars. Now a chance, a quick break here for the Canadiens. A 2-on-1 developing. He won't need help though. Down the side there. That shot on net. Kicked back to the corner by Young. That was Burke with an opportunity. Quick chance now. The North Stars back the other way. Down the left-hand side. They'll chase it back inside the zone. 3:30 remain here in the first period. 2-1 the scores. The Calgary North Stars black leading the CAC Canadiens. Back inside the zone. Player loses his stick there. Retrieves it quickly. As it's shoveled back up the wing there. And looks like we got a penalty here coming up. A holding call. Waiting for the guilty party. I think this one's going against Calgary. As Jack Howlchuk will head off for the holding penalty, and the CAC Canadiens are going to get an opportunity here on the power play. Face off one cleanly, back to the right point. They work it out to the other side. Picked up there by Campbell. Here we go. I always talk about the game being in three categories: offense, defense, and special teams. Here's a special teams opportunity for the CAC Canadiens, but it's the penalty kill for the North Stars that alleviates the pressure and gets that puck outside the zone. Under 3 minutes to play here. First period action here at the U18 AA Western Showdown. Campbell up the left-hand wing, brings it back inside the zone. They shovel it back behind the net. That goes off the glass quickly in the seamless glass here at Perry Cavanaugh, all the way back down into Canadiens territory. The goaltender will leave it there for the defenseman, and the Canadiens will slam on the brakes and set up the breakout. Coming inside the zone, looking for the entry here on the power play. They're inside the zone now. We'll see if they can set it up. Back into the corner. They've got it now. Patience is key here. Back to the point. A good spin move there at the point there. And they work it back the other way. Back on net. That one just whistles wide off the boards. And a good job defensively there by the goaltender to see that come off the wall and cover it up for a face-off here with 2:11 remaining in this first period. 57 seconds remaining in the minor penalty here to the North Stars. Face-off one there by Calgary. They'll shovel it all the way down the length of the ice, killing off more valuable time on this power play. Canadiens all the way back inside their own zone behind the cage. They'll muscle it out, cross the line, trying to find the man. Good job retrieving that one in the skates there. That's not an easy play. Time ticking down here on the power play. Comes back to the point. Point shot. It's loose in front. Where is it? Rebound chance. Scores! The Canadiens have tied it up. There is 22 seconds remaining on the power play. And with a minute 37 remaining in this first period, we've got a tie game. It's 2-2. Players come to center ice. We'll drop the puck. And we're all square here in the first. Comes back to Roberts. Good job by the Canadians to take advantage of that special team situation. And now it comes back out into the neutral zone. Up the left-hand wing. Here comes Green. Shoveled back the other way. Cross-ice pass there. Goes off a couple sticks. Up over top of the glass. That'll stop the clock here with a $1:12 remaining. Face off inside the North Star zone to the left of Young's net. That one won cleanly there to the North Stars. They come up the right-hand boards. Back outside. We'll start now with the puck. Inside-out move, trying to use the defenseman as a screen there as it's shoveled back inside the zone. We're under a minute to play here. Third period action. First period action. I knew I'd screw up eventually. Back up the middle of the ice. Now a chance for Burke on the breakaway. There he goes. Backhand off the glass. Gotta hit the net there. Dangerous chance. He has the opportunity. Just couldn't finish it, however. Comes all the way back to the middle. That one whistles just wide. Back out front now. Scrambled in front. They battle for it now in front of the net. Comes back to the right point on net again. That one kicked to the corner by Young. 20 seconds remaining. North Stars just on their heels right now. They'll ice the puck here. That'll stop the clock with 13 or 12.7 seconds, remaining. First period action here. Imperato trying to direct traffic here. Linesman explaining why that was an icing call, and now Young's got his helmet off and he's trying to fix his pad, and that's a good example. I brought that up in the previous game. See how fast his pad came off? Like back in the day, that was like 4 straps and you couldn't get it done. You got to lay on your stomach in the dressing room. You got 3 players behind you trying to tie your pads up. Not anymore. Clip, clip, gone. They still do tie the bottom part up to the skate there. Kind of reminds me of street hockey. You'd want to change the goalie. Okay, I'm in net now. It was running a nice little practice with the Olds Grizzlies this year with the Boys and Girls Club in Olds. And I got there and they said, "Did you bring any balls?" And I said, "No, I thought you guys would have a tennis ball or something." So I ripped over to Canadian Tire, bought some tennis balls. And they said, "Oh, do you want one of these orange hockey balls?" I'm like, "No, that's childhood trauma." If you've never been hit with one of those orange street hockey balls as a goalie, it is awful. There's kind of the squishy ones. Even those ones hurt a lot. But they used to have the hard balls. So I bought one just for fun, and I told them we were going to use it. Back to the left point. But you want to see some shining faces at the Boys and Girls Clubs in Olds. They just love those Olds Grizzlies out there. Back into the zone. The horn sounds. The first period comes to an end. We'll take a break here on hnlive.ca, but we'll be back with 2 more periods of an entertaining game, a Battle of Alberta between the Canadians and North Stars Black. Coming up next. Welcome back to Calgary. Welcome back inside the broadcast booth. Back up here for the second period of this Battle of Alberta between the CAC Canadians and Calgary North Stars Black here on hnlive.ca. The 2025 Western Canada Showdown continues. That one comes back to the right point, controlled there by West. He'll throw that in on net. That one kicked out. Back up the right-hand side as we're back to the action here in Calgary. More and more fans continuing to trickle in here. We'll take you through the standings here in our next break here as well, as things are moving along nicely here in day 2. Up the left-hand boards, back into the zone. CAC Canadians chasing after it now. Back the other way. And now comes back onto the stick of a North Stars player. Quick break to the net. That one on net. That just goes wide. Ooh, baby. Almost another early goal. We had one in the last period here. Now it's fought for down inside the corner. 19:04 remaining here in the second period. CAC Canadians in their white uniforms with red and blue trim, and of course North Stars Black in their classic North Stars jerseys. fan came up to me between periods and asked me, where's the CAC Canadians from? They're, of course, from Edmonton. Long-standing program up there. I still call it the City of Champions. Back up the other way, up the left-hand boards. Down the wing, inside the zone, dropped off now there. Canadians come back in, dangerous chance here. They work it to the outside. A delayed penalty coming up here as well. That'll stop the clock here at 18:24. We'll wait for the call here. It's against the North Stars, and it could be the second trip to the sin bin here for number 15, Jack Halchuk, as he had a penalty in the first period as well. So we've got 4 divisions here. The gold division, the blue division, we'll get to that in a moment, as that one just goes on net, off the blocker, comes back the other side of the net. As we continue on here, back to the point, comes back out there. Imperato works it over there, on net. That one's saved there by Young. He'll hold on for another face-off here with 18:07 remaining. The Bow Valley Timberwolves off to a good start here. They've got 6 points in that blue division, and they lead it. The Regina Capitals right behind them with 4 points. Calgary Royals blue, Spokane Junior Chiefs, and the Trackers also in that division. Shot on net there. That goes off the shin pads now. Back into the corner. As play continues here. Comes back out into the neutral zone. All teams with points there. Only 3 points separating first and last in that blue division. So still a lot to be decided here in the round robin format of this event. That's only one of 4 divisions. We'll continue on here with the play-by-play, and we'll get back to the standings in a moment. Comes back to the right point, controlled there by Green. Many people probably remember the name Green in North Star circles here. Shot just wide. Of course, that's former National Hockey Leaguer and Washington Capital, Mike Green. There's also a picture of Jason Smith on the other side, who was part of the North Stars program and later became the captain. They call him Gator of the Edmonton Oilers. Talk about a hard-nosed D-man. Now he's the head coach at the Western League with the Edmonton Oil Kings. That over a stick all the way down the length of the ice on net there. Controlled there by the goaltender as this power play continues. 30 seconds remains on the power play. Up the left-hand side, controlled now across the line. Back across the line, inside the zone now. Here come the Canadians. Looking to regain the lead. Goes over a stick, up the left-hand boards, back to the left point. Controlled there, good sauce pass over to the other side there. Now they work it back into the slot area. On net, Young will kick that back behind the cage. The penalty's over. We're back to 5-on-5 hockey, but still another opportunity for a quick chance here for the Canadians. They got another chance. It's in front, shoot, scores! They jam it home. And the Canadians indeed have regained the lead. In the gold division, ironically enough, it's the Calgary Royals gold leading the way with 7 points. 6 points for the Northeast Wolfpack after their first win this afternoon. South Zone Knights right behind them with 5 points. Upper York Admirals with 3 points, and only the 1 point for the Martinsville Marauders in that gold division, as we're back to the play here at Perry Cavanaugh here at the Max Bell Center. Shoveled back out front. And now it's picked up by the Canadians back inside the zone. They've just regained a 1-goal lead here, leading this hockey game by a score of 3-2. Shoveled back inside the zone as it's chased down there. Getting to it first is Fisher Prefontaine. First time we've mentioned his name on the broadcast. Up the wall, comes back out into the neutral zone. Chipped ahead there. Onto the blue line. Now the Canadians up the left-hand wing. They come out across the line. And chasing after it now, goes into the corner. Cross-ice pass there. That was Jonathan Wesselink. He's a 6'1", 175-pounder. Of course, you mentioned this is a quadrant team up there in Edmonton, so all these players' hometowns are listed as Edmonton. Similarly, all these North Stars are all from Calgary. So sometimes that's not the case in a lot of these teams. Of course, we're seeing some teams South Zone, North Zone, Central Zone in BC now on net. And sometimes they're getting players from all over the map. 14:50 remains here in the second period as that one goes up over top of the glass. Look at that camera work. Good close-up shot. Just as I said that about the gear, I saw 5 or 6 parents all wearing North Stars hats downstairs. Comes back off the glass, out to the right point there to Tremblay. Held in at the line there, now shoveled in as the North Stars try to tie it up. Back out front, it's loose. Comes back to the point. It's held in at the point there. Palinkas out there, Zachary Palinkas. He's got the puck now. Throws it up the middle of the ice. He misses the forward there, however. And it falls back onto the stick of a Canadiens player as time ticks down here in the second period. 1 goal to report. It goes to the CAC Canadiens. Back out the other way. That goes off the stick now. And it's held inside the zone. Canadiens in their white uniforms going from left to right here. North Stars black stay on the offensive attack there. Good forecheck along the wall. Goes into the corner. It gets tied up into the feet of 3 players. The referee right there saying, go, go, go. It's not going anywhere right now. It does eventually come loose, comes back behind the cage. Picked up there by the Canadiens. They'll work it up the left-hand side with speed back into the zone. They chip it all the way back down there in the zone. Full-scale line change here for the Canadiens. Fresh skaters out there. Back on the back end. Prefontaine now puts it up the left-hand side. That goes off a skate now. Picked up there. Now goes off a skate of a North Stars black player, and they get 2 fresh skaters out themselves. Fabi out there. He chases after it. He wears the number 22 for this North Stars black squad. Up the left-hand boards. Here come the Canadiens. Back across the red line. Chip back down there into the corner. Back out the other way. That goes off the paddle of the goaltender's stick. Harmlessly back the other way. Under 13 minutes to play here in the second period. Picked up there by Rollison. He throws that all the way down into the far corner. Comes back to the right point. Back the other way as it comes back on the backhand. Shoveled back the other way. Canadiens now with control. They come out of the zone. Comes back all the way down onto the goaltender. They'll shove it off the wall. Comes back out into the neutral zone. Looping back. Imperato now. Back into the corner. Canadiens with a 1-goal lead. Attacking inside the North Stars zone. Now here come the North Stars back the other way. Calgary looking for some speed there. It's cut off on the wall, however, and dished back out into the neutral zone. Picked up down. Here come the Canadiens back the other way. Looking for a shot on net. Rebounds there in front of Young. And shoveled back into the zone. Make sure you catch up on all the scoring leaders online as well as that one comes back into the slot area. Trying to add to those scoring totals. They do! Out in front, the Canadiens have a 2-goal lead. North Stars not very happy down there. You can hear them slamming doors. Allows us to take a look at the other 2 standings here. The red division, the Central Zone Rockets. They've got 9 points. They remain perfect with 2 wins. And the Winnipeg U17 AAA Thrashers right behind them with 7 points. KC Colts 3 points. The Northwest Stamps in there as well. They've got 2 points, but not having the weekend they're desiring so far. And the Saskatoon Sabercats will round out the top 5 as they only have the single point there and sit in 5th place in that red division. North Stars back to the attack into the corner. Goes back out to the top of the circles. They circle it back out to the left point there. Back out front. Now back into the zone. Picked up now up the right-hand wing. Here they come. Back into the corner as they announce the goal here inside on the PA system. Out the other way. Here come the North Stars down the right-hand wing with speed. They'll slam on the brakes. Wait for a trailer here. They do so. Try to work it cross ice there. That goes off the skate of a Canadiens player, and they keep it back inside the zone. They've got control of the puck. They shovel it up off the glass there for a moment. It's controlled on the backhand there by the North Stars behind the cage. They'll bank it off the wall, back to the left point. On net, that screenshot goes off the stick. They battle for it in front of the net. Time ticks down here as we approach the midway point of this period. And the midway point of this hockey game as well. All the way back down under the goaltender there. 10:19 remain here in the second period. Back behind the cage. Still half a hockey game to go here. A 2-goal lead for the Canadiens. Down the right-hand side. Here come the Canadiens looking for more. Young does the splits there. That one's going to be thrown down. Go all the way down the length of the ice for an icing call. More frustration being shown there by the North Stars, slamming the stick down. That final division is the Black Division. That's the Saskatoon Screaming Eagles. They're perfect as well. 9 points at the top of that division. The North Zone Kings, they have 7 points. And then it's the Winnipeg Bruins with 6 points. This CAC Canadiens team with 5, and this North Stars Black team with the single point. So they really need the win here this evening. They trail here by 2, however. That's shoveled back on net. Back behind the cage now. Good forecheck here by the Canadiens. As we continue on here at the Western Showdown. Up the left-hand boards. Controlled now. Back behind the cage. Man stapled up there. I think that stung the man, Logan Green, behind the net. He skates it off. He's back defensively now. Back out front on the backhand there. Good chance there for the North Stars. They came out with a lot of juice, and it seems to have slowed down now a little bit. One of the players slow to get to the bench there. As it goes off the wall now, picked up now by the North Stars. Inside the zone, they'll shovel that up on top of the man. That one will stop the clock with 8:58 remaining. Bit of a skirmish in front. So the way that the point system works, 5 points if you win by 2 or more goals, 4 points if you win by 1 goal, 3 points if it's a tie game, 2 points lost by 1 goal, and 1 point lost by 2 goals or more. Never seen that before. I think that's just to get away from the runaway scores deciding goals for and against. As we're back to the action here in the second period. Down the left-hand boards, here come the Calgary North Stars Black. Callan's back at the left point. He has the puck now. That's shoveled on net. But pushed back to the outside there by the CAC Canadiens. They've got a 2-goal lead here. First 2-goal lead of the hockey game. Callan at the point. He's got to be careful there. Backed up by the forward. One of the Canadiens players was literally off to the races there. Up the left-hand boards. Here they come. As now it's picked up by Horvath back inside the zone. Number 11 shovels it back in the zone. Goes back out to the left point, held in there by Callan. He'll work it over there to West. West on net, that goes off the blocker just wide. Steady when called upon. Vance Vag has been good in between the pipes here for the Canadiens. Down the left-hand wing, here come the Canadiens back on net. They shovel that one onto the goaltender, Young. Pushed down the left-hand boards there. Comes back to the left point. Comes back onto a stick of a North Stars player. Here comes Calgary. Back the other way. Fabi down the left-hand wing. Quick change here. Now another quick break here for the Canadiens. Down the left-hand side. Good shot there. And an equally good save there by Young. As now it's shoveled on the backhand, but not out. Delayed penalty coming up here, however, which will stop the clock with 7:18 remaining. It's the Canadiens this time. It's the captain, Andres Marin, wondering what the call is, why it's him, but he's in the penalty box. And the North Stars are getting a power play here with 7:18 remaining in the second period. Face off one cleanly. Here we go. Power play opportunity down the right-hand side. That one goes well wide, and it's going to come all the way back out to the neutral zone. Galt, the assistant captain, will corral it there. That's Sloan Galt. 5'11", 175-pounder. Now with speed, here come the North Stars down the right-hand wing. Into the corner. They shovel it back out front. Nobody's home, however. And it's picked up easily there by the Canadians. Young steps out of his net, puts the paddle down. He'll leave it there for one of the defensemen. He'll set it up behind the cage and try to get down into the offensive zone and get the power play set up. Cruz comes in across the line. He gets the feed down there into the far corner. They chip it back the other way. Comes onto the near side here. Chip back into the corner there. Goes back to the left point. Controlled there. Back the other way. Good little backhand play there by Galt. He gets it out the other way. North Stars set up here on the PP. Canadians with a 2-goal lead here. Continuing on here. Time ticking down here in the second period. Galt with control. Throws it back into the slot area. Good shot there. Really good pass. As Worth back at the point there. Galt has it front. It's loose in front. They jam away at it. A good job to cover that one up. With 5:52 remaining in this period. Teams continuing on, and I think you might have another penalty here. The whistle just went again. I think it was just a final warning. Cooler heads prevail. It will just be the lone man still in the box there with 34 seconds remaining in the penalty. They drop the puck, comes back to the left point. Back on net into the slot area. Turnaround shot there for the North Stars. Nothing doing. Pushed back up on the wall. North Stars doing a good job of maintaining control here on the man advantage. Back to the point. They work it back to the right point. On net. That one comes out. Rebound chance. Just skips over the player's stick. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2-1. We're back to 5-on-5 here as the captain has rejoined his teammates out there. He slams his stick looking for a headman pass. He's got the puck now. Just chips it into the zone. He'll go off for the change. Back out front. Quite often they want you to come directly to the bench to keep the lines together. Now a quick break here. Back into the zone, but back defensively there. The Canadians win the foot race there. But if you have an opportunity coming out of the box, you're more than welcome usually to take full advantage. Up the left-hand side, back the other way, chip back into the zone. Back out front, they try to work it there. North Stars with control, deep inside Canadians territory. Time ticking down here in the second period. We're under 4:30 to go here. Comes out onto the stick of a Canadians player. They'll lug it back out into the slot area and then just flip it out into the neutral zone, back down into North Stars territory. West will get there first. Tries to pin it up against the wall, but a good battle ensues there. It was won for a moment there by the Canadians. Comes back out. Reed Jess out there defensively at the point there. He's got the puck now. Number 20 works it over to Beeler. Beeler now throws it up the right-hand side. That goes off the stick all the way back down into North Stars territory behind their cage. A lot of action down on that end this period. Canadians with back-to-back goals here to put them up by 2. North Stars now flip it back out. Almost gets the neutral zone. Held in there by the Canadians. Back outside. They work it back inside. That one just goes wide. 3:32 remains here in the second period. Back down the wing. Now picked up there by Roberts. He battles for it there along the wall. Shovel it back down inside the zone. Comes back out front. Nothing doing there. And Beeler has that go just past him all the way down the length of the ice. That's going to stop the clock with 3:13 remaining here in this second frame. One of two games in action here at the Western Canada Showdown. The other game is the Martinsville Marauders with a 2-0 lead on the South Zone Knights. That team is here from Penticton. Back out the other way. Under 3 minutes to play here in this second period. Fighting for it now. The North Stars come back out into the neutral zone. On net, shot, that one goes off the crest of the Canadiens goaltender's jersey. And back up the left-hand side. Chip back the other way. North Stars with possession. They'll throw it all the way back in on the goaltender, which is muscled into the corner just off the blocker. Good rebound control there. And now a delayed penalty coming up here. And I think it's going to go against the North Stars because the Canadiens able to get it all the way down inside the zone. They'll stop the clock. The gate will swing open. And walking through that gate will be Josh Rosler. The 5'10", 170-pound forward is off. I think the thing I like the most about these uniforms are the pants for the North Stars. They've got the stars right down the side of them. Goes back out to the point. Canadians more concerned with the scoreboard than the uniforms right now, as they should be here on the power play. Comes back to the left point. Shoveled back there. Canadians now with possession. They work it back to the right point to Green. He'll shovel it over there to Imperato. Back on net. That one just goes up into the glove of Young. He literally flashes the leather. And that will stop the clock with a $1:47 remaining in the period. 1:31 on the power play. And the score remains 4-2. Face-off won there by the North Stars back behind the cage. As we head back to the action here on hnlive.ca. On net, that one just whistles wide. Off the wall, they fight for it now. Skip back the other way to the right point. Green heads back there. He has that go off his right glove, but he has to retreat back out there. Kind of a weird drop play there, and that almost resulted in a quick play there for the North Stars. Back up the left-hand side. Here come the Canadians back out front. They can't pull the trigger, however, and now it's picked up by the North Stars, who will alleviate the pressure and throw that all the way back down the other end of the ice. We are under a minute to play here now in the second frame. Comes up the wing there. Wesselink has that on his stick. They throw it back into the corner. Comes back to the right point. Controlled there. They work it back off the wall. Canadians now with possession. Still working here with the power play. Back off the stick now. The North Stars alleviate the pressure all the way back down onto the goaltender. And they'll have to start all the way over again. Only 16 seconds remain here on this man advantage. Picked up now down the right-hand wing. It's Beeler. Beeler works it back cross ice. They throw it down. They'll just swat it back in. North Stars player getting ready to jump back on the ice. He does so, and we're back to 5-on-5 hockey. I'll elect to just cover that up there. With 12.6 seconds remaining. We can tell you that it's Evan Fassbender with 5 points leading the scoring race here at this event with 2 goals and 3 assists. A goal and 4 assists for one of the players of the game in the last game. That's Xander Duplessis of the Winnipeg Thrashers. As we'll get the rest of this period in the books here as it goes up over top. Not quite yet. Jaden Martell, he's got 3 goals and 1 assist, 4 points. Colby Cullen, I saw both of his goals last night. He had a pair against the Northeast Wolfpack. 4 points for him, and a Wolfpack player, Taylor Coleman, one of 2 Colemans on that roster. 2 goals and 2 assists for him as well. As we'll have one last draw. It goes up over top of the glass, but the horn will sound. These 2 teams, the North Stars Black and Canadians, head to the dressing room with the Canadians with a 2-goal lead. We'll take a final break here on hnlive.ca and be back with third period coverage. Coming up next. And we'd like to welcome you back in here to Perry Cavanaugh Arena here in Calgary, getting ready for third period action and live coverage here on hnlive.ca of the 2025 Western Canada Showdown. As we get ready, and we'll drop the puck here as it's a 4-2 lead for the CAC Canadians over top of the Calgary North Stars Black. Back inside the zone, back outside. That's the Canadian shot. Just goes off the side wall there. As we'll get back to the action here, we've taken you through the scoring leaders, some of the tournament information, the standings. And last up, we'll talk about the schedule here a little bit here in a moment as we're back to the play here inside the zone. Canadians shovel it there, and then we'll back down the right-hand side, flips up over top of a player. One other game in progress. It's now 2-1. The Martinsville Marauders leading the South Zone Knights. The Knights getting back on the boards there. That one just behind us here. Tomorrow we'll split it up and we'll be at two different arenas. We'll talk about more of that in a moment as it's corralled there by the North Stars Black player back inside the zone. That's Galt. Back behind the cage. Of course, this time of year, ice time become a premium in Calgary. So we'll split it up and we'll be over at Henry Viney as well. Down the left-hand side into the corner. My biggest memory there, I was playing softball. I hit a home run under the roof of that stadium. And I'm not a power hitter. Up the left-hand side, it was a small field. Down the left-hand side, that juggled there by the goaltender. They'll hang on there, and we'll get to that schedule here in a moment. So again, tomorrow it'll start bright and early. The KC Colts and Saskatoon Sabercats. This North Stars Black team will play the Regina Capitals. That at 8:15 right back here on this same ice sheet. Winnipeg Bruins and the Trackers will face off, and a multitude of other games. All this information can be found at westerncanadashowdown.com/schedule. There you go. Now you're up to date. And we'll continue on here in the third period. Tied up behind the net there. Black tries to knife away at that one. That's Daniel Horvath, the 5'6", 140-pound prospect. As that comes back out across the line, back inside the line. They'll juggle that back in inside the corner. It's a great mural and wall of champions behind where I'm sitting here right now. I always enjoy watching the fans walk around these two rinks. There's so much to read and so much history in these two buildings in the minor hockey circles. Canadians will get a full-scale line change here as we'll stop the clock. Just under 18 minutes to play here. 17:59, in fact. No overtime in these games. We saw a game previous to this end in a 4-4 draw. And we explained how the standings work and how you're awarded for winning games by more than 2 goals. Back down the left-hand side into the zone. Here come the North Stars Black squad. Stick handling there up the middle of the ice. Now back down into the corner. Chased after there by Burke. Burke now has it off the wall. Goes back into the corner. Young between the pipes there. Slides from his right to his left. Good thing he did. It went off his left pad back into the corner. Green picks it up now down there in the far corner. Shovels it back to the man. And they'll try to work it back to the point there. Nothing doing, and that just goes out of the reach. That, of course, won't be icing because that was his own player that threw it back into the zone. Back up the right wing, corralled there. That one kind of handcuffed the player there for a moment. And they'll keep it back down inside the zone. Back out front. North Stars battle for it in front of the net. That one jammed away at, but it'll be covered up with 17:01 remaining here in the third period. Thanks for joining us here on hnlive.ca. Back up. They shovel it back to the wall there. It's back to the corner. Pushed back behind the cage. It's all the way back to the point now on net. That one covered up by the goaltender. Another 13 seconds elapse here. Face off deep inside Canadiens territory. North Stars have that go up over top of the cage. Falls back down, now onto the stick of the Canadiens player, but that's turned over not once but twice. Now the Canadiens regain control. Back up the ice. They've got some numbers up there as well. Try to throw it back in front of the net. Chasing after it now. Campbell's up there. Now it's picked up here by the North Stars. They work it up the right-hand boards. Down the side wall. Good active stick there defensively by the Canadiens as it's shoveled back in front of the net there and blown down. With 16:15 remaining here in the third. We'll have another face-off in that same face-off circle down there inside the zone. Back to the action we go. The Western showdown continues between these two Western rivals, the Canadiens and the North Stars. Back out across the ice, banks off the wall. Now a quick chance here for the Canadiens out front. Young dives for it. He had it for a moment, but then he loses control of it. Comes back on. It's still loose. Comes back to the right point. Controlled there. Now point shot off the wall. Young again swimming for it inside the net. I think the net's off. It is. They just fixed that left post. Good tight shot there, showing them trying to slam it back down on the moorings there. Face off down deep inside North Stars territory. They trail this hockey game by 2. And there's 22 with the puck behind the net. They shovel it back the other way. Try to work it up the middle of the ice. That goes off the shoulder all the way down the length of the ice for an icing call with 15:32 remaining here in the third. Face-off one there by North Stars Black. He's back to the right point. Canadiens now with a shot on net. That just goes wide. In the net! Off the back wall. They lost the post there. It goes off the left skate of Young, and the Canadiens have their first 3-goal lead of the hockey game. Back to the action we go. Clock starts again. And it's all the way back down into the Canadian zone, who now have a 3-goal lead. That was unfortunate because he's done such a good job back there, has Young, of playing those live caroms off the backboards. That came off the backboards, hit the skate of his left skate, and he's still mad as he slams his stick off the bar. Stopping the clock with exactly 15 minutes remaining here in the third. It's a frustrating position, let me tell you. Goaltending. On net, he'll corral that one. And get pretty lonely back there. As we'll continue on here in the third period. Back behind the cage. North Stars come out with some speed now up the middle of the ice. Halchuk now, Worth out there as well. They'll try to work it back to Worth there. Nothing doing there. As we'll continue on here in the third period. Back the other way. He's back out to the point. Jess back there, the lone man back here for the Canadiens. Does a good job to work it up to the red line and then fires it back in deep. Cruz now picks it up. They'll just launch it back out into the neutral zone. The North Stars have been very sleepy the last period and a half and having a really tough time of generating absolutely anything offensively. As now it goes off the stick of Burke all the way back down onto goaltender Young. He'll leave it there. Pass outside the zone. North Stars now with control. It's Cruz. trying to muster some offense here for them. On net, it's in front of the net, it's loose. That was a dangerous chance. North Stars in danger of going to 0-2, and the Canadians trying to improve to 2-0 here. Comes off a stick, back the other way. Back into the corner. They get it back now, back thrown on net. That one tipped up over top of the glass. Stop the clock here with 13:24 remaining in the third period. 5-2 the score. Face off one back to the left point. That one just goes wide. Off the wall. Kept inside the zone. They battle for it down there deep inside the corner. Comes back out the other way. Here they go. Back behind the net. Shoveled upstairs. There was lots of room there. I like that. Creative. If you've ever tried to score from right on the goal line, it is extremely difficult. Unless your name is Leon Draisaitl. Sharp angles. I'm sure Trevor Zegras could do it too. Off the other way. Back up down the center of the ice. Shot on net. That comes out very quickly as that hit the cage of the goaltender. A real live rebound there. Down the right-hand boards, here come the Canadians looking for more. A 3-goal lead. Back outside, and now a chance here for the North Stars. But a good back check there. Great back pressure there by the Canadians. And now a penalty coming up, maybe 2. Even the ref there kind of is like, all right, let's go. Canadians captain back in the penalty box. He's going to be joined there in a moment by the North Stars, Gavin Rollison. I think we'll just continue playing 5-on-5 hockey here if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, there's indeed 5 North Stars and 5 Canadians out on the ice. Comes back the other way, up the right-hand boards, all the way back down in the Canadian zone. Behind the cage. Comes back out to the right point, controlled there by Tremblay. He'll hold the line. He's helped out there. Comes back in, shoots, scores! Blacks back to the offense here, and they've got their 3rd goal of the hockey game. It's a 2-goal game. And still plenty of time left, 12:01 remaining. I was going to say with 15 minutes left, you just got to kind of chip away at this one in 5-minute segments, try to get one before the 10-minute mark. They've done that now, and now they've got, maybe you can split it to 6-minute segments now. 12:01 remaining, and they need 2 to tie. They certainly would prefer a win, however, the way that the standings are working here, however. Back into the corner. 5-3 the score. That one goes over the shoulder. Well wide, back to the left point. North Stars trying to maintain the pressure here. Now the Canadians back the other way. That's out of the reach of the forward there and goes all the way down the length of the ice, stopping the clock at 11:35 remaining here in the 3rd period. Face-off won by the Canadians, back in their own zone. They'll come back out, but now back in. North Stars with control. Back the other way. Now here come the Canadians back inside North Stars territory. Time ticking down here in the 3rd period. As we approach the midway point of this final period. Chip back over top of the head of a few players. Up the left-hand boards. Controlled there by the Canadians. Now the linesman gets in on the action as he's rubbed out on the wall there. No harm, no foul. Back up outside. That's an easy offside call as the player was in ahead of the puck there. Kind of the definition of the rule. You see that a lot with the U7s. My nephew Connor Burns playing out there, and players coming backwards. And then you got to spend your time explaining to these 6 and 7-year-olds what the rule is. With a bunch of parents yelling, offside, offside. And a face-off outside the Canadian zone here. 10:44 remaining here in the third period. Still a 2-goal lead for the Canadians. Now a chance for them coming down the right-hand side. Here comes Green. Green back out front, tries to shovel it back into the slot area. Right idea, trying to distribute the puck there. But a good job defensively there by the North Stars. Picked up by West. He gives it away back behind the net. Green's back up there again, looking for more. Chasing it down. Westerlink now has it off his stick. The assistant captain chips it off the wall. He's back out into North Stars territory. Picked up there by West. Now they'll work it up the left-hand wing. Back into the zone. Good physical play there along the wall. Green back the other way. Here comes 2. Chips it back up over top of the cage as we've passed the midway point of this period. 10 minutes to go. 10 miles, 20 smiles on the line here. Back into the corner. They shovel it back down behind the net. Comes back to the right point. Controlled now there by North Stars Black inside the zone. That goes off the shoulder there. And it's controlled now by West. He'll come up with speed. Down the left-hand wing. On the wrong side there. The right shot. And then he cross-checks the man in the corner. Shocked that's not a penalty. Player back up on his feet. West back off of the ice now. Fabi now replaces him. Back in front. Shoveled back on net on the backhand chance there for North Stars Black. They fight for it down inside the zone, behind the net. Controlled now. Comes back the other way. And it's shoveled back out now. Here come the Canadians. It's Green down the right-hand wing. Shot on net. That goes off a pad of Young. Back into the corner. We're under 9 minutes to play here in the third. North Stars made this a 2-goal game. They'd love to make it a 1-goal game. Controlled back by the Canadians, back in their own zone. Now it comes back out to the left-hand side, controlled there by the North Stars. Seddon has that go off his stick, back down on cage. Canadians will just hang on to that. Stops the clock here with 8:33 remaining here in the third. Scramble draw. There to Tremblay. He's tripped up. The arms don't go up though. Just the one ref out there in this game. Down the right-hand side, back into the zone, it's Worth. That cut off now by the Canadians. Now a fast break the other way. Shoveled back down behind the cage. 8:03 remains here in the third. Held on at the point now. Point shot from Beeler. On net. And that will stop the clock. We're under 8 minutes to play here. 7:59 remaining in the third period. You're watching the 2025 Western Canada Showdown here on hnlive.ca. Face-off won there by the CAC Canadians. They'll throw it cross ice. It's cut off there by the captain for the North Stars, and he'll lug it back in the zone. Worth, spin around shot, goes back in the corner. He's alone out front there, lurking dangerously. Back the other way. down the left-hand wing, into the zone. North Stars down the right-hand side, into the corner. That will go up and out of play, stopping the clock with 7:35 remaining. As we'll have another face-off to the left of Ty Young. Goes back out the other way. Now it comes out into the slot area, controlled there by the Canadians. Still maintaining control of this hockey game, leading it by a score of 5-3. Back out to the left point. He's back up the right-hand side. Madigan helped out there, comes back on the other side now. North Stars back into the zone. They go up the right-hand wing. Now a quick break here. See if they can get away with it there. Ryan Bayana, number 10 out there. First time we've said his name on the broadcast. Back inside the zone. Time ticking down here in the third period. North Stars need something quick here, as they're now down to that precious time here in the third period. Off the glass, you can hear that all the way up here. 6:22 remaining. Into the corner. We battle for it now along the wall. Canadians just happy to tie this up and kill some time on the clock. It'll stop the clock with 6:09 remaining in the third. Face off here for the North Stars. Into the corner. Roberts back at the right point. Waiting for it there. He'll have to retreat there. Fabi, his defense partner, steps up, but that's offside. I think a little bit of mental fatigue out there right now. That's going to bring the face-off all the way back down into North Stars territory. And that would be chalked up as a mental mistake. The intentional offside, bringing the face-off back inside North Stars territory, 200 feet away from that CAC net. They need two more in that net to tie this up. Captain tied up there. He's hauled down, but no penalty called there. It was more of a fall there as he fell on the back edge of his skate. Comes back out to the left point. Fabi keeps it in there, hammers it back down into the corner. Chip there, that one knocked down with a high stick. That'll stop the clock. 5:35 remaining here in the third. Face off deep inside Canadians territory. Won by CAC. Comes back up the wing. They'll flip it down there all the way back onto the defenseman there for the North Stars, who rifles it off the glass all the way back into the zone. That'll be another icing call here. This time on the other side to the left of Young. We'll have another face-off. One there by the North Stars in their own zone. We'll hammer it off the wall. That goes off the top of the dasher there for a moment. And back into the zone. As they'll come back the other way. And all the way back down into North Stars territory. They'll hammer it off the wall there. Back out front. Here's a chance for the Canadians. Trying to regain a 3-goal lead here. They lead 5-3. Latter stages of this one here. Comes back to the right point. Point shot on net. Young makes the stop. Madigan creeps in there from the left point. Goes back behind the cage. They get it back out into the face-off circle, and they'll corral it down there into the corner. 4:30 remaining here in the third. CAC trying to put the finishing touches on their second win here at the Western Showdown. They keep it in at the blue line. Chipped up over the top of the glass. Back into the corner. Dish there on the backhand. Good control here for the Canadians. Trying to kill more and more time and maybe get another goal here. Looking for more insurance. Madigan back at the left point. Surveying the situation. Back out there, controlled now, back out front. That goes back to the left point. That juggled off a few skates. And maintain control here for the Canadians. They knife it back out to the slot area. Now picked up here for the North Stars. North Stars black comes back outside the zone. Back out into center ice. Down the right-hand boards. Into the corner. Back out the other way. That one just goes wide. Back out to the left point. That point shot goes off the glass. It's desperation time now for the Calgary North Stars black. They need 2 goals here. Comes back the other way. Controlled now into the zone. Behind the net. Canadians happy to just hammer that off the wall. That doesn't make it out of the zone, however. As now it comes back to the left point. And the North Stars are forced to retreat. Maddie tries to find Roberts there. He does so. Good inside-out move there by 20. Back out across the line. He goes to the net. That one just goes wide, up off the glass. We're under 3 minutes to play here in the third. Off the boards, comes off the wall. Back the other way. They chip it down as it goes back into the zone. Controlled now by the North Stars. Behind the net. He's back out the other way, back out front. That goes off a stick. Comes back out to the red line, and they just hammered all the way. And I don't think that made the red line. That's going to be an icing call. I won't share you the chirping here. I'll spare you the details. But the heart-shaped emoji by the player coming across was a nice touch to the opposing bench. Oh, and that one goes over top. It's the Canadians bench that's just all over the North Stars here after back-to-back icing penalties. Or, sorry, not penalties, but calls. And a timeout's been called here. Be surprised if we don't see Ty Young come out of the cage here. Maybe an early pull as they need 2. Good close-up shot there of the North Stars bench. Here we go. Face off to the right of Young. Back in the North Star zone. The goaltender remains in the pipes. They've got it up the left-hand wing. That out of the reach. That's 3 icings in a row. They are just sucking the wind out of this place right now. Face off one up into the glass. They swing at that like a pickleball court and whiff on it. Picked up now up the left-hand side. Again, another icing call. .202 remaining. Players dig in. At least they're good on the face-offs in the defensive zone. They've won 3 in a row. Up the boards there. They flip it back out. Doesn't go far enough for icing. Now picked up on the left-hand side. I think they're almost waving the white flag is Team Black here as they're leaving the goaltender in as well, which is a little bit surprising, but maybe it's that goal differential we were talking about a little bit earlier. But that's that 2-point differential. It kind of makes zero sense not to pull your goaltender right now. They don't. He's still in there, and Roberts has it now. Now he finally comes. Here he comes. They'll get the sixth attacker out there, and they'll hang on to the puck behind the boards there. Looks like a rugby scrum behind the net there. They can't move it. The ref wants them to. They eventually do get it loose, and it's picked up there by a Canadiens player. Now Black with control in the corner. They try to work it back to the left point. We're under a minute to play here. Last minute of play in the third period, they say. Back out to the point. Cruz now works across ice as they try to shovel it back on net. Back to the point. Cruz, that point shot, shoots, scores! After all that, they're back to within one. Wow. 41.4 seconds remaining. That point shot beats the goaltender cleanly there. And they're having a team meeting here at center ice, are the CAC Canadiens. Got to dig deep here, boys. That's why I was so surprised they didn't pull the goalie right away with 2.5 minutes left, but what do I know? Face-off one there by the North Stars. It comes up the left-hand side. Had a buzzer beater yesterday. We're going to have a finish here now. A game that at one point seemed well in hand at 5-2, now is 5-4. But only 26 seconds remaining, and the Canadiens on the offensive attack. Shot, scores! There's the finishing touches. There's the final insurance goal. The sixth of the night here for the Canadiens. They'll shovel that one home with 19.2 seconds remaining. And they'll fist pump in front of the North Stars bench. Think there's a little bit of a rivalry here between Edmonton and Calgary? Maybe just a tad. Chip back out the other way. Canadiens looking back at the clock now. They'll just rifle it down the right-hand side. Back into the zone, back behind the net. Young comes out to play it, but that's an icing call. That stops the clock with 7.1 seconds remaining. They will pull the goalie again. Hardly enough time to get 2 goals here, though. Even if they get one right off the draw here, I'd say this one is over. Cruz wins the draw cleanly back to the point on net. That one goes wide into the corner. As time ticks down here in the third period, the horn sounds. The Canadiens win it by a score of 6-4. 2 late third period goals won't be the difference. They mix it up. The referees have had a long day, and they're pushing everybody back into their own zone. Cooler heads will prevail. They'll open up the Zamboni gates and get ready to flood the ice. These two teams will shake hands. We'll stick around for one final live hit of the Player of the Game Awards. I'd like to thank all the volunteers around, especially those down there, and hopefully our games down there, the volunteer lounge. They made tacos in a bag tonight. One of our favorites here on hnlive.ca. The crew appreciates all the hospitality here in Calgary. This Western Showdown will continue. I'll step aside.